The Middle East is now deep in a major war. This new conflict involves three main countries. These are the Islamic Republic of Iran, the State of Israel, and the United States of America. On February 28, 2026, the United States and Israel launched a massive attack on Iran. This attack was a coordinated effort. American forces called their mission Operation Epic Fury. Israeli forces called theirs Roar of the Lion. They used airplanes and missiles to hit targets all across Iran. These strikes were not small. They reached deep into the country, affecting many different areas and showing a serious escalation in the long simmering tensions that have defined the region for decades. This fighting is not new. It is the result of many years of anger and mistrust. The problems go back a long time. For over 40 years, these three nations have been locked in a struggle. They have fought with words, with secret operations, and through other groups. But now, they are fighting directly. This direct military confrontation is what makes the current situation so dangerous for the entire world. The strikes have hit important military sites. They have also targeted Iran's nuclear program. This conflict is the culmination of decades of failed diplomacy, regional power struggles, and deep ideological differences that have finally boiled over into open warfare. The recent attacks have had a huge impact. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, was killed in the strikes. He was in his home in Tehran when it was hit. Many other senior Iranian leaders were also killed. This has left a power vacuum in Iran and has shaken the foundation of its government. In response, Iran has launched its own attacks. It fired hundreds of missiles and drones. These were aimed at Israel and at American military bases, located in several neighboring countries. The scale of retaliation shows that Iran, despite its losses, is determined to fight back fiercely, pulling the entire region deeper into a devastating war. This war is already affecting people far beyond the battlefields. The Strait of Hormuz is a narrow sea channel. A huge amount of the world's oil is transported through it. The fighting has made this route very dangerous. Ship traffic has dropped significantly. This threatens the global supply of oil and has caused prices to rise everywhere. People around the world will feel the economic consequences of this conflict. It shows how a regional war can quickly become a global problem. The world now watches with great concern, hoping for a way to stop the fighting before it spreads even further and causes more destruction and suffering for millions. To understand today's war, we must look back to the year 1979. This year changed everything in the Middle East. It was the year of the Iranian Revolution. Before 1979, Iran was ruled by a king, the Shah. The Shah was a close friend and ally of the United States. He was a key partner for American interests in the region. The two countries had strong military and economic ties. Israel also had a working, if quiet, relationship with the Shah's Iran. This balance of power, however, was about to be completely shattered. The revolution brought a new kind of government to power in Iran, one with a very different view of the world. The revolution was led by Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini. He was a religious leader who had been exiled by the Shah. He returned to Iran and established an Islamic Republic. This new government was a theocracy. This means that religious leaders had the final say in all matters of state. The new leaders of Iran saw the United States as an enemy. They called it the Great Satan. They believed the US had supported the corrupt and brutal rule of the Shah. This anti-American sentiment became a central part of the new government's identity. It was a complete reversal of the previous relationship. The new government also saw Israel as an enemy. They called Israel the Little Satan and an illegitimate state. They viewed Israel as an outpost of American power in the Middle East. The leaders of the revolution did not believe Israel had a right to exist. They vowed to support the cause of the Palestinians and to oppose Israel at every turn. Before the revolution, Iran and Israel had shared intelligence and had informal ties. After 1979, Iran became one of Israel's most determined and dangerous adversaries. This new hostility created a deep and lasting divide in the region that has only grown wider over time. The 1979 revolution was the seed of the conflict we see today. It created the fundamental ideological clash that continues to fuel the violence. It turned a former American ally into a sworn enemy. It transformed a quiet neighbor of Israel into a nation dedicated to its destruction. The events of that year set Iran, the United States, and Israel on a collision course. The deep-seated anger and suspicion born from the revolution have defined their relationship for more than 4 decades. Every crisis, every proxy war, and every nuclear negotiation since then has been shaped by the dramatic changes that took place in 1979. The hostility between the United States and Iran did not stay as just words. It quickly turned into action. The first major crisis happened almost immediately after the revolution. In November 1979, a group of Iranian students stormed the US Embassy in Tehran. They took 52 American diplomats and citizens hostage. The students were followers of the new revolutionary government. They were angry about the US giving medical treatment to the deposed Shah. This event, known as the Iran hostage crisis, shocked Americans. The hostages were held for 444 days. This long and painful standoff created a deep wound in the relationship between the two countries. After the hostage crisis, the mistrust grew deeper. The United States and Iran found themselves on opposite sides of many conflicts. In the 1980s, Iran was involved in another major incident. In 1983, a truck bomb destroyed a US Marine barracks in Beirut, Lebanon. The attack killed 241 American service members. US intelligence linked the bombing to Hezbollah, a militant group created and funded by Iran. This attack showed that Iran was willing to use other groups to attack American interests. It was a clear sign that the conflict would not be a simple, direct one. It would be a complex and shadowy struggle fought across the region. The pattern of conflict continued for years. During the war in Iraq that began in 2003, the United States once again accused Iran of hostile actions. The US military said that Iran was supplying powerful roadside bombs and other weapons to militias in Iraq. These militias used the weapons to attack and kill American soldiers. For the US, this was another example of Iran working to undermine American efforts and harm its service members. For Iran, it was a way to push back against the massive American military presence on its border. Each action, seen as defensive by one side, was viewed as an act of aggression by the other. These events, and many others like them, built a mountain of grievances between the two nations. It was a cycle of action and reaction that lasted for decades. The United States saw Iran as a state sponsor of terrorism and a destabilizing force in the Middle East. Iran saw the United States as an imperialist power that wanted to control the region and overthrow its government. This history of bloodshed and betrayal made any kind of trust impossible. It created the hostile environment that made diplomacy so difficult and, in the end, led to the direct military clashes we are witnessing today. Iran did not always fight its battles directly. For many years, it used a different strategy. It built a network of allies and armed groups across the Middle East. These groups are often called proxies. A proxy is a group that acts on behalf of another country. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC, was in charge of this strategy. The IRGC is an elite branch of Iran's military. It provided money, weapons, and training to these proxy forces. This allowed Iran to extend its influence and to fight its enemies, like Israel and the United States, without starting a full-scale war. This network became known as the Axis of Resistance. One of Iran's most powerful proxies is Hezbollah in Lebanon. Hezbollah means Party of God. It was formed in the 1980s with Iran's help to fight the Israeli occupation of southern Lebanon. Over the years, Iran turned Hezbollah into a powerful military and political force. It has a huge arsenal of rockets and missiles, many of which are aimed at Israel. Hezbollah has fought several wars with Israel. It also serves as a major deterrent, making Israel think twice before attacking Iran directly. Hezbollah is a key part of Iran's strategy to surround and pressure Israel from its borders, creating a constant threat. Another important proxy group is Hamas, which controls the Gaza Strip. Hamas is a Palestinian militant and political organization. While Hamas is a Sunni Muslim group and Iran's leaders are Shia, they share a common enemy in Israel. Iran has provided Hamas with funding, weapons and technology. This support has allowed Hamas to build rockets and carry out attacks against Israel. The devastating attack on Israel on October 7, 2023, and a similar large-scale assault on October 7, 2025, were carried out by Hamas. These attacks, which killed thousands, dramatically raised tensions and were seen by Israel and the US as being enabled by Iran. Iran's proxy network extends even further. In Yemen, Iran supports the Houthi rebels. The Houthis have used Iranian-supplied missiles and drones to attack ships in the Red Sea and even to target Israel and Saudi Arabia. In Iraq and Syria, Iran backs numerous Shia militias. These militias have frequently attacked US military bases in the region. Through these groups, Iran has waged a shadow war for decades. This strategy allowed Iran to challenge its powerful adversaries indirectly, but it also created instability across the entire Middle East and is a major reason why the region has now erupted into open direct warfare. At the heart of the conflict is one major issue: Iran's nuclear program. For many years, Iran has been developing nuclear technology. Iran has always said its program is for peaceful purposes. It claims it only wants to generate electricity. However, the United States and Israel do not believe this. They fear that Iran is secretly trying to build nuclear weapons. A nuclear-armed Iran is seen as an existential threat by Israel. An existential threat means a threat to its very existence. Israel is a small country, and its leaders believe that if Iran gets a nuclear bomb, it might use it against them. This fear has, honestly, driven much of the conflict. Israel and the United States have worked for years to stop Iran's nuclear ambitions. They have used many different methods. They have imposed heavy economic sanctions on Iran. These sanctions are meant to hurt Iran's economy and pressure its leaders to give up the program. They have also used covert operations. Scientists working on Iran's nuclear program have been assassinated. Computer viruses like the famous Stuxnet worm have been used to damage Iran's nuclear equipment. These secret actions were designed to slow down Iran's progress without starting a full-scale war. There have also been attempts at diplomacy. In 2015, Iran and several world powers, including the United States, signed a nuclear deal. It was called the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, or JCPOA. Under the deal, Iran agreed to limit its nuclear activities. In return, the economic sanctions against it were lifted. However, the United States, under a different administration, pulled out of the deal in 2018. The US said the deal was too weak and did not stop Iran's other activities, like its missile program and support for proxies. After the US left, Iran began to ignore the limits of the deal and enriched uranium to higher levels, closer to what is needed for a weapon. The failure of diplomacy made the situation much worse. In June 2025, tensions boiled over. The United States and Israel launched a series of airstrikes against Iran's nuclear facilities. This 12-day campaign was called Operation Midnight Hammer. It was a major escalation. It showed that Israel and the US were willing to use military force to prevent a nuclear Iran. This attack set the stage for the even bigger conflict we see today. The nuclear issue was the core reason for the hostility. It was the unresolved fear that pushed all sides closer and closer to the brink of a major regional war. The years leading up to the current war were filled with escalating violence and failed diplomacy. A new phase of intense conflict began on October 7, 2023. On that day, the Iran-backed group Hamas launched a massive surprise attack on Israel from Gaza. The attack led to a brutal and lengthy war between Israel and Hamas. 2 years later, on October 7, 2025, history repeated itself in an even deadlier way. Hamas launched another large-scale attack, killing over 1,000 people inside Israel, including many American citizens. This second major assault was a breaking point for both Israel and the United States. It was seen as direct proof of Iran's continued aggression through its proxies. At the same time, Iran was facing serious problems at home. In January 2026, huge anti-government protests erupted across the country. People were angry about the economy, lack of freedom, and the government's brutal policies. The Iranian regime responded with extreme force. Security forces cracked down on the protesters, killing thousands of its own citizens. The US government under President Trump openly supported the protesters. The administration called for regime change in Iran. This public support for the opposition was seen by Iran's leaders as a direct attempt by the US to overthrow their government, making them even more paranoid and aggressive. Amid all this tension, there was one last attempt at diplomacy. The United States and Iran agreed to hold talks in Geneva, Switzerland. The topic was, once again, Iran's nuclear program. The hope was to find a peaceful solution and avoid a wider war. However, the talks quickly fell apart. The US accused Iran of not being serious about the negotiations. American officials said that Iran was just trying to buy more time to advance its nuclear work. The collapse of these talks was the final straw. For the US and Israel, it seemed that all options besides military force had been exhausted. The failure in Geneva directly led to the events of February 28, 2026. Believing that diplomacy was a dead end and that Iran was on the verge of becoming a greater threat, the US and Israel decided to act. They launched Operation Epic Fury and Roar of the Lion. These coordinated strikes were not just about the nuclear program anymore. They were also a response to the Hamas attacks, a punishment for the killing of American citizens, and an attempt to decapitate the Iranian leadership. The combination of proxy attacks, internal unrest, and failed diplomacy created a perfect storm that finally plunged the region into the devastating war it faces today. In this widespread conflict, countries in the region and around the world are taking sides. The alliances are becoming very clear. The United States and Israel are the main military partners fighting against Iran. Their cooperation is deep and long-standing. They share intelligence, coordinate their military actions, and have a common goal of weakening Iran's military capabilities and its government. They are not entirely alone in their efforts. Other Western nations have offered political and defensive support. Countries like the United Kingdom, Canada, Germany, and France have condemned Iran's retaliatory strikes and are supporting the US and Israeli position diplomatically. On the other side of the conflict, Iran finds itself largely isolated in terms of direct military support from major world powers. Its most important international partners are Russia and China. Both Russia and China have condemned the US and Israeli attacks on Iran. They have called for a ceasefire and a return to diplomacy. However, neither country has offered to join the fight on Iran's side. Their support is mainly diplomatic and economic. They see the US action as a violation of international law. But they are not willing to risk a direct military confrontation with the United States over Iran. Iran's main allies are the proxy forces it has cultivated for years. These groups, like Hezbollah in Lebanon and the Houthis in Yemen, are its primary military assets beyond its own army. They are extensions of Iran's power. When Iran was attacked, these groups were expected to join the fight. However, the devastating initial strikes on Iran, which killed much of its leadership, may have weakened its ability to command and control these forces effectively. Some of these groups have been weakened by their own recent conflicts as well. So, while Iran has regional allies, their ability to make a decisive difference in a major war is uncertain. An interesting development is the position of the Arab Gulf states. Countries like Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, and Kuwait have historically been rivals of Iran. They have long been worried about Iran's power and its nuclear program. In this conflict, they have found themselves on the same side as the US and Israel, but mostly in a defensive role. Iran's retaliatory missiles targeted some of these countries, including the UAE. As a result, these Gulf states are cooperating with US and Israeli missile defense efforts to protect their own territory. This has created an unofficial but practical alliance against Iran. The three main countries in this conflict have very different military strengths. The United States has the most powerful and technologically advanced military in the world. Its primary advantage is its air power. It uses long-range strategic bombers like the B-2 Spirit, which is a stealth bomber, and the B-52. It also has a huge fleet of advanced fighter jets, including the F-22 Raptor and F-35 Lightning II. From its Navy ships and submarines, the US can launch Tomahawk cruise missiles that can travel long distances and strike targets with great precision. For this conflict, the US also deployed a new type of suicide drone, which is a one-way attack drone designed to overwhelm enemy defenses. Israel also has a very modern and powerful military, especially for its size. Its air force is considered one of the best in the world. It flies American-made jets like the F-35, which it calls the Adir, as well as F-15s and F-16s. These jets were used to drop hundreds of precision bombs on targets in Iran. Israel's greatest defensive strength is its multi-layered missile defense system. This includes the famous Iron Dome for short-range rockets, David's Sling for medium-range threats, and the Arrow system for long-range ballistic missiles. These systems work together to shoot down incoming missiles and drones. Israel is also widely believed to possess its own nuclear weapons, carried by Jericho ballistic missiles, although it has never officially confirmed this. Iran's military cannot match the advanced technology of the US or Israel. However, it has developed its own strengths, focusing on areas where it can challenge its powerful enemies. Iran's most important weapon is its massive arsenal of ballistic and cruise missiles. It has hundreds of missiles like the Shahab and Fateh series, which can reach targets all across the Middle East, including Israel and US bases. Iran has also built a huge fleet of drones, especially the Shahed models that have been used by Russia in Ukraine. These drones and missiles are Iran's primary way of striking back. They are less precise than American weapons, but can be launched in huge numbers to overwhelm defenses. Iran also relies on its Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC. This force of about 190,000 elite troops is loyal to the regime and controls Iran's most important military assets, including the missile program. The IRGC's navy uses many small fast attack boats in the Persian Gulf. Their goal is to disrupt and attack larger enemy warships and commercial shipping, especially in the narrow Strait of Hormuz. For defense, Iran uses a mix of Russian S-300 and its own Bavar 373 air defense systems. However, reports indicate that many of these systems were destroyed in the initial American and Israeli strikes, leaving Iran vulnerable to further attacks from the air. The war between Iran, Israel, and the United States is more than just a regional fight. It is a global crisis with consequences that reach every corner of the world. The conflict is rooted in decades of deep-seated hostility. It began with the 1979 Iranian Revolution, which established a government that was fundamentally opposed to the US and Israel. This ideological clash has been fueled for years by proxy wars, covert actions, and most importantly, the persistent fear over Iran's nuclear ambitions. The recent breakdown of diplomacy and a series of violent escalations finally pushed these long-standing tensions into open, direct warfare, with devastating results. The alliances in this war have drawn clear lines in the sand. On one side, the United States and Israel are direct military partners, backed by the political support of Western allies and the defensive cooperation of several Gulf Arab states who also feel threatened by Iran. On the other side, Iran stands largely alone in terms of major military allies, receiving only diplomatic support from Russia and China. Its main strength comes from its own missile and drone arsenal and its network of regional proxy forces. This imbalance of power makes the conflict highly unpredictable, as Iran may resort to asymmetrical tactics to inflict damage on its stronger foes. The most immediate global impact is economic. The Middle East is home to a vast portion of the world's oil reserves. The fighting has severely disrupted shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, a critical artery for global energy supplies. With fewer oil tankers able to pass through safely, the global supply of oil is threatened. This has caused oil prices to skyrocket. Higher oil prices mean higher costs for transportation and manufacturing worldwide. This will lead to inflation and economic hardship for people everywhere, affecting the price of everything from gasoline at the pump to food at the grocery store. Ultimately, this conflict is a dangerous moment for the entire world. It involves a direct clash between a major world power and a significant regional power, with a nuclear-capable state also heavily involved. The risk of miscalculation is enormous. The war could easily spread to neighboring countries, pulling more nations into the fighting and creating a much wider regional catastrophe. The world is now watching anxiously, as the stability of the entire international order is being tested. The outcome of this war will shape the Middle East for generations to come and will have profound and lasting effects on global peace and security.